Hello students, welcome to my channel. My name is Mrs. Ludolph. I am known as the Trauma-Informed Teacher, and this is my teacher channel where I share tips and tricks to teachers about good lesson plans, how to connect with students, and just information about my own life as a teacher. However, this is my very first video that is actually geared towards students and what they need to hear to be more successful at school. So I hope you enjoy this video. This is my 8 tips for becoming a better student. A lot of you have recently been asking for videos like this to help you with school. I've heard a lot of things since students have been back in person that they would like more help with how to be a better student, how to get better grades, and make their parents happy at home when they bring home that report card. So that's what has prompted me to create this video for you. So I'm going to start going through my 8 tips, but I also want to let you know that if you click that little arrow down below the video in YouTube, you will open up a whole description box that I'm going to link some resources for you. And if you need more information and you would like to go to some websites to get some cool ideas after this video, you can find a lot of cool things down there below in the description. All right, tip number 1. Tip number 1 for improving your grades: be present. What do I mean by that? Well, being present has to do with bringing your full attention to the task that your teacher is asking you to do. Think about the information that's being shared. How many times have you sat in a class and you're more interested in the funny thing that your neighbor is doing a couple of seats away, or you're trying to think about what you're going to be doing after school this weekend, the football game, that note that a friend just passed to you, you name it. There's so many ways to be distracted in a classroom. However, if your goal is to get better grades, you have to stop trying to multitask. Even though you might be able to carry on several activities at once, that does not mean you're going to remember the information that you're supposed to be learning. So if you want to get better grades, memory requires attention. So give your class your full attention and see how your grades come up. Tip number 2, be curious. One of the biggest things about learning is being curious about the new information. What do I mean by that? You have to find a reason why you need to learn this information for yourself. Not just because your teacher tells you have to or your parents tell you you have to, but find some kind of connection, even if you're not at first interested in the course. Maybe you might be able to think of something that you saw in the news, on the TV, on social media that's somewhat related to the course that you're taking. Whatever it is, find some reason why you want to learn this material. However you connect with the subject, curiosity is going to help you focus as you learn. Curiosity causes us to ask questions. When we ask questions, we're seeking out new information and we automatically learn things for our own reasons, not just because someone told us that we have to. So fuel your imagination, increase your curiosity, and ask your teachers and the other students around you questions to get more into your subject. Your grades will thank you. Tip number 3, be organized. Come to class prepared. Make sure you have your notebook, pencils, paper, note cards, highlighters, your electronic device, whatever the teacher is asking you to have. It's also a really good idea to spend a little bit of money on a student planner. You can find some that are very reasonably priced if you go to dollar stores, or you can get one that's a little bit more expensive. Doesn't matter, but something that has a calendar and a space to write assignments that you need to work on each day. This is very important because in order for you to do well in your class, you have to write down the things that you're not finished with yet, the things that you might forget that your teacher's trying to tell you, oh, there's a test coming up on such and such date. Once you leave that class, if it's not on your mind anymore, other things are going on, The only way you're going to remember is if you have it written down somewhere and you're getting in the habit of checking it daily. So I highly recommend that you get some sort of student planner and take some quick notes in the student planner every single class so that you know what things are left over that you still need to do, what's coming up in that class, and any other information that you don't want to forget that you're likely to forget when you walk out the door. If you stick your papers in random places like your book bag, stuffing it in there, stuffing it in random notebooks, using a bunch of different notebooks instead of dedicating one folder or one notebook for each class or one section of a binder, you don't want to use multiple places to store information for each class. If you do that, you're going to have everything scattered all over the place. When your materials are scattered everywhere, just like your papers, your brain is going to be scattered everywhere. You're not going to remember what you're learning if you don't have a system. I'm going to link some ideas below for organization systems, and you can look through these links and see which one you're most interested in trying for yourself. There are lots of different ways to organize. Find one that works for you and stick to it. And that brings me to tip number 4. Be persistent. Persistence is a really important characteristic of any good student. If you don't understand something at first, that doesn't mean you're stupid. Okay, we're all learning new things all the time, and one of the greatest challenges is figuring out the parts that you don't understand. It can actually get to be a fun game once you get used to it. Get in the habit of asking help from the teacher. Get in the habit of asking questions when you don't understand. Also, coming along with being persistent, if you don't finish an assignment in class, write it down in your student planner that we were talking about earlier. You need to make a routine, which means every single day at the same time after school, you're checking back to look at all of those assignments that you haven't finished. Spend a little bit of time working on each one. Even if you are a student who's very busy, you have after school activities, you can find a little bit of time each day to take a look at your planner, make a plan, and execute your plan for how you're going to finish your assignments. If you fail a quiz, make sure you study with someone next time who's doing well in class. Don't give up just because you have a difficulty with something in your classes. Being persistent will pay off in the long run. Tip number 5, be respectful. One thing that students don't really understand sometimes is how much time teachers spend planning and preparing your lessons. Being disrespectful towards a teacher, arguing with the teacher about the way the class should be run, or refusing to do anything that's asked of you is certainly not going to motivate your teacher to provide you with the help that you need to be successful. You're just making a nuisance of yourself, and you're ultimately making it harder on yourself to get a decent grade when you do these behaviors. Why would you want to disrespect someone who's really just trying to help you with your life? It really makes no sense when students do this, but you wouldn't believe how many students try it. Instead, follow the class rules. Be helpful, pay attention, show respect to your teachers. It goes a long way and might even help you get an extra point here or there that can ultimately increase your overall grade. Tip number 6, know your study style. When I say the word study, a lot of students laugh, but you really don't have to be complicated when you're studying. It doesn't have to be a complicated thing. Everyone has a certain way that they study best. If you've not spent a lot of time going over your notes outside of class before, that's okay. If you've not been a studier in the past, it's not too late to start. The difference between passing a class and not passing often comes down to the simple question, did you study or not? I've seen many students over the years who like to complain that they don't understand something, but they never really sit down to try to go over their notes after class. This isn't something that takes a lot of time if you do it every day. Just make it part of your routine. Reading your notes for even 5 minutes a day in each class can help you memorize new information and understand things that you really used to think were complicated. Studying is just simply making a space in your brain, in your long-term memory for new information, and then rehearsing the path back and forth in your brain to that storage place so you can find that information when you need it. When you think that you don't understand something, Sometimes it's just that you haven't spent enough time locking it into your long-term memory and practicing finding it there. So you'd be surprised at how much difference just this little step can make. If you need some suggestions for some different ways to study, check out my links in the description box below. Tip number 7, be confident. Your brain tells your body what to do, but did you know that you have the power to talk yourself smart? It's true. If you believe that you can do something and you wake up telling yourself that each morning, you will be able to reach your goals much more easily than a person who's always talking down to themselves. Be careful what kinds of things you're saying inside that head of yours about your own abilities. You can do anything that you put your mind to, literally. So be confident. Speak with confidence. Tell yourself, I don't understand it yet, but I'm going to get there. And just keep trying. These things will make a huge difference in your grades over time, I promise. And last tip, tip number 8, be responsible. I don't know how many times I've seen students wasting time in class, socializing with friends, not coming with their materials, not finishing their work, not studying, and then they just turn around and try to blame the teacher when they don't pass the test. If you want to learn, you have to hold yourself accountable for your grades. Your teacher wants to help you, or he or she wouldn't be there working with you every day. You have to want it too. No one can help you unless you first help yourself. Take a look at the tips mentioned in this video and give yourself a real honest appraisal. Are you truly doing everything that you could be doing to get better grades in school? Or are you falling into the blame game and not taking responsibility for your own bad choices and patterns of behavior? If you're guilty of not doing your best, it's okay. Today is the day that can change. If you start holding yourself accountable, you can make a change, and it can start right now if you want it to. Anything is possible if you put in the work. I hope you've enjoyed these 8 tips for becoming a better student. Make sure you check out the links in the description box because there's a lot of great information there. Until next time, this is Mrs. Ludolph, the trauma-informed teacher. See you later.